Hello and welcome. My name is Fabio Costa. I'm a conductor. Thank you for coming here. I have studied at the Universität für Musik und Darstellende Kunst in Wien, and since then I have spent most of my professional conducting career in the United States and in my home country, Brazil. I have had the opportunity of conducting about 200 concert performances of both symphony and opera. These concerts have had an audience of over 150,000 people, 80,000 of those over the past 2 years alone. My ancestors came to this country by the end of the 19th century from Portugal and from Italy. My family has always produced a number of artists. My great-grandfather was a violin player at the São Paulo Opera House for many years. My grandfather, a famous radio actor, and it happened that his daughter fell in love with a talented young engineer. And so I was born in 1971 in São Paulo, Brazil, now home to over 20 million people. So I had a happy childhood. Oh well, most of the time. But my father soon realized that I did have a gift, if not for sport, then for music. And working at a German multinational as he did, he had our whole family move to Germany. So I spent there a decisive part of my childhood, which is also, I think, a strong reason why the German music tradition lies so much at the heart of who I am musically. So, music came into my life actually by the way of composition, because as soon as I was able to play something, improvise something, I would try to write it down. I see today that was my own way of teaching myself music, which I am still trying to this day. And so my daily bread during my teens became singing in the choir at school and accompanying myself on the piano at home, listening to music all the time, of course, sight reading whatever I could lay my hands on, and of course, composing. Then one day I saw a group of kids playing in a youth orchestra, kids just like me, the same age, playing beautifully, and I was very struck by that experience, so that I immediately took up oboe lessons, so that in 6 months I was able to join an orchestra myself. And in fact, I have played during 8 years of my life, later also professionally and as a soloist. So this was the background that ended up drawing me to conducting. And it so happened that without any previous experience or training, I had to actually conduct my first concert, and that with the São Paulo State Symphony Orchestra, after having won their conducting competition, to me unexpectedly so. I guess everyone survived it, and it made me decide to dedicate myself entirely to conducting from then on. So, with the help of a scholarship of the Brazilian government, I went to Vienna. So it was there that I received my formal training in conducting and opera, and also gained some good practical experience by singing with the best Viennese choirs, with great conductors, and by coaching and conducting standard works of the repertoire, but also contemporary music. Here, the first performance of a challenging contemporary opera. And during this time, I had what I consider one of the most essential experiences to me, which was the close contact with Claudio Abbado, whom I had the chance of closely following throughout the Salzburger Festspiele, watching his work at rehearsals and every single concert. That by itself was like going to academy a second time. And so was a series of master classes with a great conductor, Kurt Masur, held again with the São Paulo State Symphony Orchestra. And soon I was invited to start my professional career in Brazil during a season in which I conducted some 25 concert performances, which was a good first professional experience that helped me to the next step in my conducting career, which took me to the United States. And there, over 3 seasons, I had the opportunity of conducting some 80 concert performances of various kinds: popular concerts, family and educational concerts, traditional subscription concerts, but also leading a talented group of young university students. Those concerts had a total audience of about 70,000 people. Of course, it was a very rich conducting experience with a range of repertoire and different styles, also dealing with different audiences. But since I was trained in Europe, it was also a great opportunity of getting acquainted with language and culture in the United States and the workings of a professional symphony orchestra in North America. And meanwhile, I kept working with various symphony orchestras in South America, in Brazil, and composition also occupied me, as I was able to complete the work Song for the Earth, a choral work that has been awarded the prize of the Brazilian Music Academy. It is a challenging work of humanistic content that expands the tonal system by going beyond equal temperament. And so, in 2008, I have been invited to help establish a new major symphony orchestra in Brazil. And I did so by conducting some 60 performances over 2 years with the unique task of reaching out with symphonic music to about 80,000 people over 30 locations throughout the large state of Minas Gerais, which is the size of France. In fact, this has been one of the largest and most important efforts in Brazil at bringing classical symphonic music to a large audience by creating free and widespread access to it. We knew the people we would reach would have little or no access to performances like this. This was a very demanding audience. They reacted on a very instinctive level, a very perceptive public. And what became clear was the tremendous value that experience had for those people. Since you are taking part in creating such value for people, you feel very valued yourself. For me personally, this has been a strong affirmation of just how universal and how relevant the content is of what we have to say through this art. And how vital it is, how much people do really need it in their lives. And I personally believe that as the world becomes ever more interconnected, the more people gain access, and also the faster it becomes, the more information, maybe the more superficial it becomes, the more people will tend to need this kind of experience with its own time, with its own depth, and with its own humanity. So that I, for my part, just look forward to doing that as much as I can and for as long as I can.